a really bad opening. I'm a system administrator by trade and a toolsmith kind of. How many people are either going to implement an OpenShift? Okay, that was what I was looking for. Good stuff from you too. I'm going to be using that stuff. What I've been working on, am I where you need to be?
You're perfect.
Okay. I actually completely threw out my notes because I didn't realize what Diane actually wanted me to talk about. So
I made up a title for you.
that's fine. I can talk about that too. If you have implemented an OpenShift, if you've looked, some people earlier have talked about the dev env, which is the development environment we use internally. Somebody asked me about 6 weeks ago, okay, how do I build one of these OpenShift things on EC2? And I said, oh, we've got this great dev-env thing. It'll do, and I went and I started looking at it and going, I'm not going to tell them to do that because it works great for us, but it's not really generalized. So I know Krishna's been doing lots of other things, and I started working on it, and he and Dan pointed me at a tool called Thor, which is it's a Ruby gem which is designed for creating command line tools. And Thor has a hammer, and so now for me everything is a nail. So what I ended up doing is I'm getting there. But what I've got so far is something where in the back I've got it where I can bring up 5 EC2 nodes. One of them is a Puppet server, and then 4 of them are going to be OpenShift servers, the broker node, a message server, and a data store. And I can bring up those 4 machines complete with their DNS in about 15 minutes and tear them down and do it again. And I think I've done it 6 times while we've been sitting here today. And the cool thing about Thor is because it's a command line tool, it allows you to write things that you can invoke from the command line. But you can also compose the pieces, and the way it's set up, I can run a script composed of these various tasks and print out what task I'm executing as it starts. And if one of them fails, you can invoke that command line directly, and it will do just the little piece that failed. So as you're going through, you can not only see logically, because of the names of the tasks, what it's trying to do. When it fails, you can also go right to that spot and go, okay, why did that fail? What did that do? And the other part that I've been working on with the Thor tools is to break the EC2 part, which we use a lot here, from which just gets you boxes you can SSH into, out of that. So you could use instead, you could use libvirt, you could use half a dozen other things to get you to the point where you can SSH in, and then you can use other tasks to move the next level up. My goal is to build a Puppet thing. I'm at a point now where I've got a Puppet server. I can just push Puppet stuff, and it will all magically happen. And I'm going to build all those from Grant's great document. So that's what I've got, yeah?
So will you be making that available so that it can actually leverage a Rev environment as well?
If somebody wants to do that, or if I get to the point where it works and somebody says, gee, can I do it on Rev? Somebody said, can I do it on EC2? And so that's what got me rolling. When I get it so that I've actually finished getting something working on EC2, if somebody says, gee, could you do that for Rev? Sure.
Can you do it for Rev?
At this point, no, but yeah, maybe someday. I'll get your name after, and we'll talk about what it would take to do that. The goal, for me, a long-term goal is to be able to do libvirt or Cloud Stack, or I don't care. You know, at this level, get me to SSH. At that level, get me to Puppet or Chef or whatever. At the next level, run those things so that it makes the whole system work. All this stuff is on GitHub. It's fast-moving, and I break it on a regular basis. It's GitHub. Mark Lama is me on IRC. It's in Mark Lama, and it's called OpenShift Setup at the moment, which is a bit of a misnomer because there's not yet really any OpenShift in it. It's all EC2 and SSH and Puppet. But that's what I've got, people. Let me know if you're interested. This is not the way to do it. There are lots of ways to do this. This is just one way I'm exploring, figuring out how to make this stuff work. Any questions? Yay,
Thanks.
beer.
Cheers.